I made $60,052,540.53 in less than 5 years. And here's how. 1. We will dive in how I acquired our dream clients. Number 2, how I build our offer. Number 3, how I build our product. And lastly, how I build the team. For each of these 4 categories, I will tell you the exact 3 things that made all the difference so that you can copy exactly what we did and grow to 8 figures profitably yourself. Let's start with clients. First thing, and this one is counterintuitive because right now everyone is into organic content and posting and posting and posting. We did it with ads. Let me explain. Let's say you have here your landing page. With your offer. You can do 2 things. Organic posts, paid ads. The thing that worked best for us is Meta. Of course, you can also do SEA, search engine advertising with Google, with your brand. You can do YouTube, you can do TikTok, you can do whatever. The thing that worked for us was Meta. I recommend you start with Meta. What is Meta? Instagram, Facebook. And if you've cracked Meta, then you can also go into other channels. But Meta is still the thing in the market that makes the most money and where it's the easiest to create a profitable funnel. And why would I use ads and not organic content? Because this one here creates speed. Why? Because if you have a winning ad that you can scale up, you will make significantly more money with this than building up your organic over the years. This will take time. Also, yes, it's free, but it's not. Why? Because you have to build a team. You have an editor, copywriters, the designs, you have tool cost. You have a lot of cost here that just adds up, especially if it takes you half a year. Imagine all the salaries that you have to pay before you see results, right? You can fast track that with ads. Today, and we've grown big with ads. Today are, of course, also people that just do organic and they're completely happy. I think the actual truth is you have to do both. If you do organic on top of your paid, you will halve the cost that you're spending here on paid. Or differently said, you will double your conversion rate if you do good organic on top of your paid. Let me share you a quick story. When we started 10 years ago with the first creators, back then they were called influencers, where we thought, wow, they have so much organic reach, they have millions of followers. If we build a product, a course with them, that will print money. So we launched a course with a yoga instructor, then one with a calisthenics instructor, and then one with a CrossFit instructor. And yes, we scaled into the 7 figures, but not because of their audience. Their audience was always worth, let's say 100 grand. With ads, we could always 10x it. It was in every single case the same. We could 10x it. This is interesting because in case you don't have a business model yet and you think, okay, what can I do? What would be an exciting opportunity? Look still for people that have a ton of organic reach, become their business partner and do ads on top of their organic reach, and you can 10x their revenue. If you split that 50-50, you can make a ton of money. Second thing I want to share here. You might say, yeah, but then I spent $100,000 on ads and then I make $100,000 and I pay everything to Meta. That can be correct, but if you do it right, it's false. Let me share a story with you. Let's say here's your cost, here's your revenue, right? When we started on the first programs where we 10x'd the revenue from the programs that we were launching with paid marketing on top of the organic, right? The best thing that we had is a $23 cost per order. This is CPO, cost per order, okay? This is not CPM, cost per mil, cost per click, cost per lead. No, this is cost per order. We paid $23, $23 for someone to buy the product. Now, the big question is, how much revenue did we make for each purchase? We made with every purchase $97. How often would you invest 23 cents to get $97 back? You would scale it up like crazy, right? The ratio here is 500 to 1. So with every dollar, you make $500. That is crazy. And is also an outlier, obviously, right? Today in e-commerce, when you scale something up, you always want to keep a ratio of minimum 4:1. In software, there's so many software companies where you invest more money than what you get out in the beginning, because software is a subscription-based business. You invest in a customer for the first 6 to 12 months. Before then, you break even, then you make some money. There's some tricks to actually do it differently. We talk about that later. But the point is, you cannot just like say, yeah, I spend $100,000 on Facebook and then I make $100,000. This will never break even. No, it depends, of course, on your ads. If you have strong ads, then you can get to 500 to 1. So then the big question is, how do you create great ads? Let me share a story real quick. A couple of years ago, before we were a software, we were an agency and we worked one-on-one with influencers to launch their online courses. And there was one particular influencer in the US. She wanted to launch a weight loss program. When we spoke with her existing customers, what we learned is that they said they don't want to lose weight. What they wanted is they wanted to have an hourglass shape. Slim on the waist and then wide on the butt. So what we heard was things where they said, hey, I want to lose the gut but keep the butt. I want to feel sexy in my own skin. And then we took all of that and we created ads and landing pages with that exact copy that we heard from the customer. And we came up with a 500 to 1 ratio. Just 3 weeks later, we were launching another weight loss program with a male influencer. And this one had the ratio of 1 to 1. We put $30,000 in, we got $30,000 back. It was a complete loss maker because we, of course, also had team to pay, right? The reason I'm telling you this is you want to interview customers because there you find the right angles for great ads. And if you're then in the right niche, you put the right testimonials in, you can get to 500 to 1. And then the cost for ads are almost 0 to none, and you can scale much quicker than just organic. The second key thing to acquire dream clients are brand faces. What are brand faces? The people that see the faces that you put in your ads, on your landing page, on your assets, everywhere. They should attract your ideal customers because your ideal customers look up to them, are inspired by them, trust them, right? So these are all your prospects. And when they see this brand face, they say, wow, I want that. I trust this person. Let me buy that. Who can be a brand face? Obviously, can be you. You can be the dancing bear. You can be in front of the camera. You can be the person in the ads everywhere. That makes sense. But ask yourself the question, are you aspirational for the people that you want to attract? And do you want to do it? If not, here are your alternatives. Your team. There are people in your team who might be a much better fit. In my case, I found someone many years ago. His name is Dan. And he is so good in front of the camera. He was a creator himself. Actually, he played in a band. They had a top 40 album. So he knows how to engage and excite an audience, that they get emotional and take action. Also, he's British. And for some reason, the Americans really like that. Think Jimmy Carr, the comedian, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, the Carpool Karaoke guy. It's just very pleasant to listen to British people. And he's a really strong communicator. And that was a much better foundation than me, the German, that is very logical. And my English was much worse back then. To put me in front of the camera to convince Americans to buy something. That doesn't make any sense. So Dan was a much better fit than I was. Maybe that's different today because we all attract different audiences. Question is, if he attracts these people, who am I attracting? And is it maybe a new ideal customer profile? And I think that brings me also to the next point. It can be also hired guns. If you look on the YouTube account of Instantly AI, they're testing a couple of different people all the time in their YouTube content. And then they track exactly which hired gun performs the best in converting people out there into paying clients. Another really good one is, it's even better, customers. If you put customers on a stage, let's say this one, right? That's someone that got attracted, purchased, but now you put them here. That is even more powerful because instead of you or someone in your team saying, hey, I have the best offer ever, you should just buy it. Now a customer is saying it's the best offer ever. So they trust this person much more than they trust you, because it's one of them. And if you can get that done, then your conversion will skyrocket. And if you put this person also in your programs, coaching people, coaching the other customers on how to become successful because they became successful, then your retention goes up. So customers, brilliant. And I'm not just saying put quotes of your customers on your pricing or sales pages, but put them in the videos. Do webinars with them. Put them as coaches inside the community. Really immerse them in your product, in your offer, okay? I want to share one more. UGC, user-generated content. We have a lady named Ashley. Whenever we use Ashley in the beginning of our ads, we see much better conversion before we then show the main content of our ads. So what does it mean? That if you put UGC creators, and you can of course test dozens of them in your ads, you might see a conversion lift. That translates into revenue. The third element, which is really important to acquire dream clients, is tracking. Tracking excellence. Okay, now you might be thinking, oh, this is super boring. Why is he talking about tracking? The thing is, if you spend $10,000 a day, if you spend $100,000 a day on ads, and you're not tracking properly, and you cannot make decisions on an hourly basis, you're losing a lot of money. And there's 3 levels. It's 3 levels of tracking. You can now rank where you are, and I can show you what the next level looks like. First level, we are still on Meta, right? So the first one is the Facebook Business Manager. Yes, no one cares about Facebook, but this is for Instagram, right? Because Instagram is part of Meta. Let's say if you have customers above 40, yes, Facebook is important. But in here in the Business Manager, you set up your ads for Instagram, okay? What's the problem? Why is this not so cool anymore? Why is it level 1? Here are the pros. The pros are, it's very easy to set up ads. You upload your ad, put them in ad sets, you can duplicate, you click on publish, and that's it. You put your budget, okay. The reason why this one is not good anymore is because the data is crap. You cannot trust the data. Why is that? Because Facebook had a fallout with Apple. Actually, a lot of companies had a fallout with Apple. The reason is that Facebook made a gazillion billions of dollars per quarter in ad revenue, but Apple didn't get any of that. So they tried to negotiate. Facebook said, nope, it's not, you don't get anything. And then what Apple did is they launched a security update called iOS 14.5. It was disguised as a security update. But what it was is they took all the apps, including Instagram, of course, and all the traffic that was sent from Instagram to your landing page, because people clicked on your ad or on whatever they clicked. Before you had pixels that were tracking everything, if someone bought and was on the checkout and what they did and did not do. But after this update, none of that was working anymore. So then Meta came up with some AI optimization and worked a little bit better, but still shit. Here's what people did. They graduated from this one, they leveled up their game, and that brings us to level 2. Level 2 is first-party data. What is first-party data? Facebook didn't see anymore what people are buying and how people are using your landing pages. So the simple solution was, well, let's track that ourselves and then send it back to Facebook. Right? That's why it's called first-party data. First party is you, it's your data. How long are people on the site? Where are they scrolling? How long have they been on checkout? Have they bought something? If you have a software with multiple, let's say with subscriptions, right? With which customer do you make the most revenue? And then you feed all of that back into Meta. And all of a sudden, Meta can see again. And they can find more people like that. And all of a sudden, you make revenue and money again. Companies that operate on this level, Hyros, you're quickly at $2,000 per month on this one. Which is also a reason why when you're starting out, you're not investing $2,000 per month, right? So you're up here, at some point you go here. And $2,000 a month is not a problem anymore. First-party data. Wait, what? Okay. So here's the difference. This is single. This is multi-touch. Or multi, whatever. I'll show you in a second. What's the difference between these two? If someone buys your product, it's very unlikely that they just came out of nowhere, saw your ad in the feed, clicked on the ad, went to the sales page, bought, and moved on with their lives. Very often, there's multiple touch points. People have been on another platform. They have been on Google. They have been on YouTube. They have been on some other page. They have been everywhere. They have maybe seen an ad and then came back a week and saw another ad, and they came back and saw another ad, and then they saw an organic post, and then they saw something like this. Just the journey is different, right? I think I made my point clear. So let's say if these are the touch points with your product, and here is the sale, right? Then this one here says, yeah, that's the last one here. You maybe heard of that before. Last cookie wins, less click attribution. This one caused it, right? Would this level say here. And then you feed that back and you find more people that have made that have shown that exact behavior. Here, you consider all of the touch points. All of them. Right? With statistical models, and then you try to attribute how much percent did this one have an impact on the purchase? And what about this one? And then you come up with all of that stuff and you feed all of that back to Facebook Meta. And then it has way more accurate data and it can drive way stronger leads to you. Well, not leads, traffic, right? But you get it. Companies here, Attribute, for example, which is also the one that we are using. That is the first chapter on how I acquired dream clients. Obviously, I did it with a team, right? We have a team, and the team is really, really good. But for some fucked up reason, more people are watching this if I say I. But it just wasn't me. I love my team. My team is really strong. There are many parts stronger than I am. We talk about team, by the way, in category 4 and how to build a great team. Especially in the era of AI, where hiring is uncool and you rather want to keep it small and lean, right? But you still need strong people to reclaim your time. But more about that later. Section number 2 is how to build a great offer. First thing that is really important, find a role model. What do I mean by that? If you learn from someone that is succeeding, it's much easier to succeed too. Let's say you want to win in the Olympics. You would look for what the gold medal winner is doing instead of just coming up with some random stuff. How can you do it? I love going to events and conferences. At events and conferences, you learn who's really crushing it. 1, in the talks, and 2, in the evening, when everyone is drunk, you ask them, hey, who's crushing it? Who's making bank? And then you always hear, like, who is doing it and why and how. So go to events and conferences. In your network, ask in your network who has the most impressive growth, profit, who's hiring a ton. Back in the days when we were building companies, we always looked who has a ton of job applications. Super subtle, but if someone is hiring like crazy, it means that they're scaling. So you can even look at companies and look for their job openings. If someone has 55 job openings, then they're growing. YouTube. I have to share my best knowledge in order to make this video fly. That is true for everyone else too. So everyone is putting their best stuff out there so that you watch it. And the quality, the bar is constantly rising. But that means that you find great content on YouTube where people on podcasts or in talking head videos really share how they're doing things. And that was 10, 15, 20 years ago, all covered up behind closed doors. So YouTube. Let me talk about one conference that I attended, which was really cool and that made a big difference for us. Funnel Hacking Live, 10 years ago, we came there with our agency where we helped creators to make, back then influencers, to make more revenue, right? We went to this conference. We were about 5,000 people at the conference, people like us that are selling info products, online courses. And Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels, hyped us up like crazy. He also wrote these books, they're really good, by the way, and helped us to grow our business. But I mean, the crazy thing was, yes, it's cool that we all grew our business, but the really cool thing was ClickFunnels itself. And I mean, not the software, but the business behind it, because we all were running on ClickFunnels and we were referring it and we were using it more. And with that, they have grown to a 9-figure revenue and enterprise valuation. And they were making tens of millions of dollars in profit because of that. And also in software, you get a very different valuation than with an info business. An info business is really hard to sell. The software business, you get a multiple on revenue, not even on EBIT. That's crazy. So we're like, maybe we should go into software. That was the foundation for us deciding that we go from our agency to software business, just because we attended an event. So then the question is, what do you sell? And for that, you need a profitable funnel. Because I love automations, ours is completely automated. So while I talk, someone is right now buying in the funnel. Let me show you how it works. We do webinars. Even though we are a software with a normal pricing page where people can buy right now something for $100 per month, we have webinars running that generate more than 50% of our revenue behind the pricing page, where people, after watching 90 minutes of a webinar, buy a 4-figure product. Let me show you how the webinar funnel works. You have ads. I think by now you know how important ads are. Then you have a webinar page. Let's just call it VP, webinar page. That is a landing page with a button to sign up for the webinar. Then you have the webinar, right? 60 minutes of value, 30 minutes of pitching. You find the perfect webinar script, how we made 8 figures with our webinar inside our Passion Academy. So check that out. And then you have your sales page with the offer. So let me give you the numbers of this funnel that you know what good looks like. 2% of people that watch your ads go to your webinar landing page. 30% should sign up. 80% show up to your webinar. And 8% buy on your sales page. That will be really good. Let's reverse engineer that now, because that's important. If one person buys and you divide that by 8%, that means 12.5 people have to be in your webinar that one person buys. That means ballpark 16 people have to sign up that 12.5 show up, right? It's divided by 80%. And if 30% sign up, that means you have 52 people that you have to have on your landing page. And now if you now do the 2%, that means 2,600 people have to watch your ad. Okay? Now, let's say you make $1,000, because this is a mid-ticket funnel. We talk about pricing in a moment, but let's say you sell here for $1,000. That's your revenue. And let's say you sell an online course, and let's say this is all margin. This means you can afford $80 for someone on the webinar. 1,000 divided by 12.5. 1,000 divided by 16 is $62. That's what you can afford for a lead. And then $19 is what you can afford for a click. $1,000 divided by 52. Okay? And then if you multiply that again with the 2% or divide it with the 2%, then you can spend around $380 on a CPM, which is crazy, right? But then allows you to, in the auction with ads on Meta, to get traffic. Because if you sell something for $20, your ads are not going to work, because the conversions won't add up that in the end someone is buying. Maybe in e-com, if you have a $50 product with lots of margin and it gets really hyped up and you have crazy conversions, then maybe for some time it works. But if you want to consistently over years outperform everyone else out there, you have to have these conversion rates that you can invest so much in ads that no one can outperform you. So let's talk pricing. Everyone is always talking about low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket. Let me quickly explain you again what that is and what you need to do. Low ticket is anything from $0 to $1,000. Mid ticket is $1,000 to $5,000. And high ticket is $5,000 to $1 million. There are people that have a price of $1 million per client. Now, 2 questions are important. Number 1, what's the right price for your product? I will answer this in the 3rd section. Here the question is, what's the right funnel if you have already a price? If you sell less than $1,000, it's going to be just a sales page with a buy button. Because otherwise you have too many steps and it's not going to work out. So just sales page, buy button. Good example, Ali Abdal, YouTube Part-Time Academy. It's $997. Good sales page. Mid-ticket, webinar funnel. We just spoke about this, so I won't go into more detail. Look at our funnel. Our funnel is good. And then high ticket, you want to do sales calls. This could be Instagram DMs to then book a call. And then you do setter closer. discovery calls, and then sales calls. Doesn't matter. Point is, you want to qualify your leads. Once you qualified them, you close them. If you do this right, you can have a close rate up to 80%. I have a video on my YouTube channel that shows that. But let's say the thing that you're aiming for is 30%. If you have 80%, you just raise the price until you're down at 30%, okay? But sales close rate, 30%. We go into detail on this in another video, but I think that you just get an idea for what's the right funnel for what price point, that should cover it. When we started with our webinar funnel, we had a price point of $1,000. Now, and maybe this is already making you a ton of money. It's a really good tip, because price is a gift that's never stopped giving. We just raised the price a year ago to $1,500, right? Plus 50%. And you want to do something similar, but the idea is not just to raise by 50%. The question is, if you raise by 50%, how much drops the conversion from people that are in the webinar to that buy, right? Let's say you have 8%, it drops down to 7%. Okay, you have 1% less, but you make 50% more revenue. That's a net positive. So what you want to work out is, you want to understand what's the price elasticity. Simply speaking, the point is this. If you're raising price and you still have the same amount of people buying, maybe slightly less, it's great. Keep on raising the price and see what happens. Okay, get a feeling for what's the right price. Don't just accept the price that you have for years on your page. I know that the price of your products hasn't changed in a long time. Raise the price. It's one of the easiest changes to make your business grow and more profitable. If you take one thing away from this, raise your price. Test it out. Get a feeling for the price elasticity. You might be surprised how little it makes a difference in your conversion rate. And this brings us to the third category, how to build a great product. I love to handle objections. It's one of the most important things to make your product great, because anything that you launch, people have always objections why it sucks. And this is always the foundation to build a great product. Let me show you what I mean. Your objections are caused by belief patterns that they have, right? For example, I don't need this won't work for me, Belief. Always you have internal and external belief patterns. Internal would be, oh yeah, this is for big companies, I'm a small company. Or this is going to be expensive, I don't have the funds. Or I'm not technical, right? Or I don't have the team. Or I don't like the guy. And all of these should be handled in your pitch. Your pitch is there to handle all the beliefs and making them show that there's one big decision that they need to, there's one small decision that they need to do, which is click the button. And once they click the button, their problems are solved and they are in the promised land, in a good space. So internal, this is about them. External could be about the company, about money, could be about anything. So the big takeaway is, whatever you hear, in the end has to go into your pitch. You have to understand what the belief patterns are, the internal ones, the external ones, put it in your pitch. Your pitch will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And in the end, there's no more objections. The moment when you reveal the offer and people then are supposed to click the button, they're like, this is amazing. Makes total sense. Yeah, because you handled all the beliefs, the negative ones that held them back. And that brings your conversion up to 80%. Anyways, one more thing I want to talk about is value. You want to, in your pitch, show as much value as possible, because then you can, of course, charge more. There's a value equation. You can Google that. It's outcome, always sell the vacation, don't sell the features, times how likely is it that they achieve it, divided by time and effort. If I never have to work ever in my life again, and it's 100% guaranteed, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and I don't have to do anything for it, that is a lot of value. And here's what you do. You take 10% of that perceived value. If someone has a truly perceived value of, let's say, $100,000, this is easily 6 figures, this thing that I'm buying. Then you sell it for 10% of that, for $10,000. Then it's a steal. It's a no-brainer. It's irresistible. Okay? So 10% or less than that. That's how you derive your price. But it means earlier, if you sell something for $1,000, you need to have at least a perceived value of $10,000. If you don't have that, you have to create more value. What is value, right? You might deal today with features. Features translate into benefits. You might have heard about that before, right? Like, don't talk about features, talk about benefits. Microsoft versus Apple. But here, there's even something better, which is value. Oh, this phone has 15 megapixels on the camera. It's a feature. Oh wow, I can zoom in and out and it's still sharp. Benefit. Oh, the faces of my loved ones on this picture are really small, but I can zoom in and they're still sharp. I can see all of their emotions and I can even print it on paper so that I can put it on the wall, and for the rest of my life I can look at this picture and I can enjoy the time that we had back then. That's the value. So focus on value, do the job for them, right? Don't just like give them features. Do the job, like what's the value that's in it for them? Don't sell a feature, sell a transformation. 10% of that, put that in a pitch, work on the belief patterns, do that iteratively, and you will have a really strong pitch, great product. Second big thing in how to build a great product are subscriptions. Why are subscriptions so important? I can tell you, when we launched, and you might have that with your courses today in your info business, you do this, right? Let's say this is dollars revenue, this is time. You do this launch because card open, card close, you do a launch, right? Like Black Friday special, summer special, Easter special. We only launch twice a year. You have a waitlist lined up, and then you do your card open, card close sequence. You make that money and that's it. That is great, but you see two things usually. You launch again, it's smaller. You launch again, it's smaller and smaller and smaller, and at some point you need a new product. A lot of effort to create a new product, and it always dies off, and it's just a ton of work. It's a bicycle. What makes it even worse is that when you have a team and you pay salaries like this, and actually this here was painful, this is painful, this even more painful, and here everything is just painful. So if you have a business that is based on one-time sales that are not consistently coming but come with launches, you cannot build up a team. You'll always stay small. The business will always depend on you. The moment when you add subscriptions to it, you can have revenue curves that look like this. That's why software businesses, for example, are worth so much. Because every month money is coming in, is really high margin, and it's not dependent on people, it's the software. It's a fucking money printing machine. Now, and here's not the thing. This is really interesting. The moment when you go into subscriptions, and of course, first you have to create an offer which works as a subscription. So for example, a 6-week fitness program, why should it have a subscription? You have a library where constantly new meditations are added, and you can meditate every single day. Yeah, that's a subscription. Why not, right? But let's talk again about this chart, because I think here what is under the hood is the most interesting thing ever that shows you why subscription businesses are so valuable. The moment when you go into the subscription business, it's all about retention. Why? Because if you have shitty retention, that means, let's say, from 100 customers, 50 are leaving in the first year. You have to bring in more than 50, right, in order to grow. So that means the amount of people that you bring in have to be bigger than the amount of people that leave. And then your cohorts, what's a cohort? It's the people that you brought in at a certain time period. Let's do it super simple. Let's say annually. Let's say this was 2021. These are the people that you brought in, and then they died off, because they left. And then 2022, you brought people in and they died off, And in 2023, you brought people in, they died off, 2024, you brought people in, And in 2025, that's like what happened this year. If you stop it, if you wouldn't like put new people in, and apparently putting more and more people in, you would be out of business by summer, right? Because they're all leaving and then the business is done. So this is 2021 core, 2022, 3, 4, and 2025. You have to bring more and more people in order to grow the company. And at some point, marketing costs will go up. Your return on ad spend goes down. You don't make more money per customer. It's impossible to grow, and you would just like flat. You just like flat. You would just be like flat, and maybe like slightly stagnating. There's no chance to outgrow this unless you put more people in for a lower price. But that's really hard. But if you solve retention, and this is actually typical for info business, for a standard info business, if you are in the software space, and I think actually that's the reason why a lot of creators right now, and especially on LinkedIn, I saw that recently, they all like have now their own software. Everyone is launching their own software. Searchable.com, Say What, Clio, and whatnot. They are all launching software. Here's the reason, because if you have a software business and you do it right, and I show you the retention curves now from Slack, you have, let's say this is 2021. That means right here, 2021, say 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and then 2025, right? So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and here it's the same. The people that joined on Slack, they expanded. More users came in. They spent more money. And today in 2025, they make more money with the people that signed up in 2021 than back in 2021. And the same happened in 2022. And then in 2023. And 2024. And then in 2025. I skipped this year. Skip the year. It's like this, 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 and then this. See? This is a hockey stick. Every single cohort is expanding by itself without putting new customers in. They're just using the product more. They're spending more revenue. They're adding new seats. This company is worth billions. This company is in the worst case worth nothing. This actually is also not worth a lot. So let's say this is worth nothing, this is worth something, and this is worth billions. So you want to go from here to here to here. Get customers, make customers stay. Gazillions. Here, like I said, salary is painful. You cannot really afford a team. Here, you can hire anyone and you can pay any price because the revenue grows quicker than you can hire. And that's why people can pay $100 million salary for an AI engineer if you open AI and so on, right? The third one, to build a great product, and I touched upon this earlier, customer interviews. Okay, this sounds super boring. I get it, super boring, but it's not. Here's what you want to do. I call that true path interviews, and you want to figure out 4 things. First thought, deciding, using, and today. Every week you want to do custom interviews to understand when was the first time they thought about this. You don't ask them about their opinion. You don't ask them, hey, how do you like the program? Or how do you like the software? Which feature is missing or whatnot, right? Or this is all opinions. Doesn't really matter. It's not very helpful. It's somewhat helpful, but this is much better. You ask them about their experiences and what they actually specifically did. When was the first time when you thought about this? Oh yeah, I was sitting with my friend there and we spoke about that I have this issue. How did you come up with that conversation? What specifically happened? Yeah, we spoke about this and that and so on. You want to understand when was the first time when there was the thought? And then what happened then? What happened then? What happened then? You always ask what happened. Oh yeah, I saw an ad. Oh yeah, I spoke with her again and she bought something. Referral, right? So when was the first thought of it? When did she decide or he? When did they start using it? And what about today? All of that is key for your business. Let me explain. Everything that you learn goes into your marketing. That can be content, for content pieces, that can be ads. For sales, because you can share exactly the story. If someone comes up to the sales call, you know, and you have spoken to 100 people when they first thought about it, what made them decide, what led them to making the decision, you know exactly if someone comes in, how they feel and what their aspirations are, what their pain points are, what their trigger points are, right? So you want to use that for sales and it goes into your pitch, obviously. And lastly, here, and we just spoke about retention, we use it for retention. And then the big topic in retention is churn. People are leaving. And here you have prediction, churn prediction. You want to predict who might leave because let's say you interview people that at some point have churned or here and you see the same patterns, why they have churned, didn't have success in the first 6 weeks, 6 months, 30 days or whatnot. You can predict that if someone is already there, say a week before everyone churned, that they will churn soon. And then you have prevention. Yeah. So what prevented the churn so that people stay? Custom interviews or you're fucked. Simple as that. I have a bonus for you, okay, in this section, which is also really interesting. It's called TTFV. What is it? Time to first value. Important for any product to make customers successful is your time to value. But sometimes you have a course where it will take some time, let's say 12 weeks until you see some progress in your body. Or in our case, you launch an app, but it takes 3 to 12 months because of Apple and Google, and they won't have proper apps until the apps are launched. Does someone lose faith until 3 months, 6, 12 months are over? 100%. So what you want to do is you want to do time to first value. What is something that you can deliver upon quickly that within the first 24 hours or even minutes, they get crazy value and they would love to stay, and they know and they're reassured that this was the right decision. To give you an example, classic for ClickFunnels was get domain. If someone bought a domain on ClickFunnels, they stay because they just bought a domain. Why would they leave, right? Haven't even built a funnel, but they bought a domain. Similar to us, secure app name. If someone can secure an app name in the store, oh, you want to secure it, right? So then I will launch my app down the road. Super important. A third one also really good for you if you have an info business, templates. If they have templates, they get some value immediately because these templates are awesome. Imagine even on LinkedIn now, there's so much free content where you comment something and you get this PDF or this Miro, this Figma board, right? This of course also works in software. For example, ClickFunnels again, where you can clone a funnel and then you have that funnel in your account. And if it's a funnel that you got from a friend or which costs some money, then obviously why would you cancel your ClickFunnels account because you have these crazy important valuable templates in your account, right? Okay, so what can you point is, if you have an info business, e-com or software, it doesn't matter. What is the thing that you can give them within the first seconds that they get some really good value from it if the time to value is actually a little bit longer, right? To get some results. Okay, number 4, how to build a great team. Let's go. Let's keep it super, super simple. You have heard this before, but let me share a couple of thoughts on this. A players attract A players. Yes, you heard it before. I get it. But here's important information. You have to be an A player. Because only if you are an A player, you will attract A players. Do some introspection. What can you do to level up? Because the business, your team, everything is a function of you. So if you don't improve, your team, your business won't improve. It's all down to you. Yeah, so don't be so, oh yeah, we have to hire better people. Like, can you get me better people? Yeah, no, cannot, because it's you. Same for me, by the way, right? I have to constantly improve and learn, level up. Otherwise, the business won't grow and also won't hire strong people. What's important here that will attract A players? Like I said, you and also your business. At some point, when you have a crazy business, you can be not so strong anymore, but the business is, let's say, growing 100% year on year, crazy margins. That's awesome. I want to be in that business. That business is an A business. And yes, you're okay. You're good. I get you. But like, I want to be in this, right? So you and your business, this is what attracts people to join your companies. And the stronger both are, the better people you will attract. One more reflection on this. The belief is already something that makes a big difference here. What do I mean by that? If your business has the potential to become a gazillion-dollar business and you can credibly share that why that is the case, that is also enough. And the same about you and the team. If they sense that this is going to go really, really well, then that's enough to attract really strong people. In the end, you have to be the best option because the strongest people, they can pick where they want to work. If you have a strong team and you have a strong business, you can attract strong people. And you have to convey that so that's obvious that you are the best option. One more thing which I really want to stress here is really important because you likely have dealt with that before. This is not money. It's not money, okay? If you say, okay, I'm going to pay you double what everyone else is paying you in order to become the best option, fuck, that's tough. I tell you why, because the people that you hire are there because of the money. And they don't care much about anything else. So that means your culture is likely going to be shit. And is your business really going in the right direction with them? Not necessarily. You know, the question is always, do we pay above market, below market, or on market? I think the best idea is to pay on market. Because then if someone says, yeah, but I want to work for the other company because I get paid 50% more there, perfect. This person is there for the money. They're not there because of your company or because of you. Let them go. Let them go. It's fine. Yeah. But if you pay above market, you don't know. Are they there because of your business, because of you, or just because of the money? They're there because of the money, you're fucked. So I would say pay on market. You can pay slightly above market, but don't just like pay above market in order to get strong people. It's not going to work. Next one, 4.2. Invest in coaches. Let me tell you where I'm coming from. Let's say this is the age of someone, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, right? Good. I personally think here is so much energy and talent, and people are doing crazy things, especially now in the era of AI, where people go in 7 days, all in full force, making the impossible happen with tools where before you would have had to hire 10, 20, 30 people, and now like this is just possible with one person. Here it's tougher, I think, because high salary expectations, work-life balance, 2 kids. And then here again, in the late 40s, you have people that have achieved so much. It's not about the money anymore. They want to give back. And if you pair these people with these people because they lack experience, they have experience, but they're not going to go full in on weekends, right? But they do. If you pair these two, epic. So I would get these people full-time. I would get these people as coaches. And actually, you can also get people between 30 to 50 as coaches part-time. Okay, but they don't have a lot of time. It's going to be expensive because they have so many priorities. But these as coaches, these full-time. Together, brilliant. 4.3, compensation. We already talked about it. I just want to make one quick point here. You have salary. You have bonus. This is for the individual, right? And then you have here profit and you have shares. That's how you can compensate someone. Every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, they get a salary. If they do well, they get a bonus. If the company does well, they get a profit share. And they also get an upside in the business. If you do all 4 of these, you have someone who will come up with an entrepreneurial mindset. Because if the salaries goes up, the profit goes down. High bonus, same with profit. It's like it's all of a sudden they think entrepreneurial, right? Hey, can we actually not get this person because then or what if we do this in order to get the share value up, right? So they come up with new ideas. They want to optimize. They think like business owners all of a sudden. So I love that. That really fosters the entrepreneurial mindset. And then I have one more, and that's a bonus one before we wrap it. Values are the things that holds the team together when they're not together. Values are the thing that holds the team together when they're not together. Why is that important? And what does it actually mean is that, especially in our case, we're a remote-first culture and company where people are spread out all over the world. I don't know what they're doing right now. You know, are they sitting on the beach drinking margarita, or are they crushing it? With our values, if hiring, dehiring, performance management, communication, cheering each other up, all-in meetings, the huddles, everything, if that is always down to values, ultimately it holds team together. You have a strong culture. You can rely and trust everyone, and it doesn't matter if they are remote and wherever they are. Ultimately, you will only become successful with strong values and a strong culture, and that is something that you have to always work on, and it starts at the head. That means your values, your culture define the company values and culture. Okay, so these were the 4 biggest components on how I made $60,052,540.53. I shared with you how I acquired clients, how I built the offer, how I built a great product, and how I built a team. If that was insightful, leave a comment below, follow, subscribe for more infos, and check out this video, which shows you how we have built a marketing engine that let us grow to 8 figures profitably.